Not promising white or black magic, Don Webb's How to Become a Modern Magus offers nothing but obtainable skills. Intended as a one-year course, it contains 12 chapters, each sharing a profound magical secret. Although expecting a grimoire on Tezcatlipoca, I pre-ordered the book after hearing about it. It was almost as if I felt there would be something in it particularly for me. Whether that is the case, How to Become a Modern Magus is very eclectic, packing tons of information. 400 plus pages, the book goes beyond the right and the left hand paths. It is subtitled A Manual for Magicians of All Schools, and it incorporates techniques from some of the most discerned methods of East and West. Starting with Setian thought, that proceeds with shamanism, Toltec wisdom, Telema, the Fourth Way, New Thought, Eastern mysticism, Greek and other philosophies such as the author's own devices and inventions. It also includes a refreshing perspective on the Golden Dawn using some of the last century's behavioral science. While addressing all that in a single post would be unreasonable, I'll examine a few of my favorite wisdom gems, and if there's an interest, I might do a second part. The ultimate goal. Showing how to avoid the pitfalls and trappings of magic, the book focuses on the work's ultimate goal, the transformation of the magician. Starting with profoundly moving, real-life stories pivotal to Webb's development as both magician and a scholar, it doesn't focus on one method. It provides a systematic approach to self-chosen self-change through magic. Meaning, its information can be applied to any preferred set of techniques, so you have no excuses but to make progress. Bridging different systems, How to Become a Modern Magus grounds and broadens your perspective, nurturing your practice and helping you mature as a magician and a person, and this begins with 4 essential truths. You get what you ask for, enchant long, divine short, you don't need expensive materials, where you send your signals is important as what you send. The dangers of the occult. Rather than promising enlightenment and making you the master of the universe, the author immediately addresses the elephant in the room, namely the common unhealthy characteristics shared by many occultists. Besides obsessions with the paranormal, seeing UFOs or being frequently abducted, that includes abusing drugs and believing one is Crowley's reincarnation. Also neglecting one's health while using the occult for entertainment. No randomness and better relationships. Instead of relying on randomness, Webb explains every magician must strive for self-sufficiency. Moreover, that helps the magic work, increasing the probability shifts. The same section provides a concise yet thorough instructions on preventing your partner from freaking out because of your practice while even improving your relationship. Thank God I never had such issues with my girl. Magic and energy. Elsewhere, the author explains that magic requires energy that can be from transpersonal forces, emotions, or vampiric means. It can also be self-created, which is both the means and the goal of initiation. Initiation. Existing in many forms, initiation is really a tribal thing. It's being isolated from society for a period to reintegrate yourself with a new perspective and abilities. Apparently, you can do the same by dedicating the time to mastering particular skills and knowledge, reinventing yourself and returning as something completely new. Let me know if you agree. Magic is not enough. As a semi-self-help junkie, I wholeheartedly appreciate the author's emphasis that magic alone is insufficient. Despite its powers, magic must be coupled with relentless self-development, otherwise it cannot do its best, potentially causing harm. Raising your sky. According to Egyptian thought, the sky rests on 4 pillars. According to the author, raising your sky by magic alone won't make it stable. And if you think about it, similar is also emphasized in both The 7 Faces of Darkness and Uncle Setnack's Essential Guide. Preceding this one, they both stress the importance of grounding yourself with philosophy and working on all aspects of your life. The methods of the Temple of Set. Telling the story of author's initiation into the Temple of Set, How to Become a Modern Magus introduces the reader to the organization's methods and practices. Quote, "The Temple of Set is not an order that teaches magic. It assumes you either have learned or will learn on your own. However, it requires magic as a method of testing its philosophy." Unquote. One aspect of the latter is Stephen Flowers' technique of reviving older systems as well as a clear reason to do so. Another is Michael Aquino's practical approach of combining Neoplatonism with balanced self-improvement, which is masterfully outlined in Aquino's Mindstar. The ultimate formula. Emphasizing incorporating magic with quantifiable science is the key to success. How to Become a Modern Magus reveals the fundamental formula ruling all its tools and tactics. Quote, "The past plus the present creates a possible future." Unquote. The average folks, the author notes, never experience the present. Instead, their minds permanently ruminate about the past. Eventually, that makes the person's future a combination of their recent past and unscanned present, and to help prevent that, Webb provides another formula to use in your daily life. Quote, Knowledge and conscious response are the best ways to deal with your past, and an awareness that others want to deal with your past for their own gain is also indicated here." Unquote. Elsewhere, the author provides tools for acknowledging your past greatness, enabling you to effectively utilize it to bring desired changes. Elemental magic. Like more traditional Western magic, a big part of how to become a modern magus is about getting control over the elements. Including Enochian, it works with the keys, not with the elemental tablets. Attributed to Far, the 6 keys provided in 2 versions, one of which is Webb's translation and pronunciation. I may be wrong, but to me that sounds different not only to Golden Dawns, but also to Michael Aquinas' The Word of Set. 1 month per element. Familiarizing yourself with an element takes a month. This is followed by a week-long reflection on all 4. Deepening your understanding, such meditations help increase control over the elements in both the subjective and objective universe. Quote, "As you work with an element, in other words, as you think rationally about it, remember experiences with it, fantasize or visualize it, and magically use it." Unquote. Comment. In psychoanalytic and self-help terms, this means increasing mastery over your life by making the unconscious conscious, assimilating segments of your shadow. Kabbalistically, you start utilizing your nefesh's potency by making its hidden aspects collaborate with your ruach, and by doing so, affecting the macrocosm or the objective. And this reminds me of Crowley's saying, "You receive the angel through balancing the elements." Not only the elements. Like many things in the book, that formula isn't limited to the classic elements as we know them from Greek and Kabbalistic philosophers. It also applies to Chinese and Germanic ways, and though the author doesn't mention that, I believe it can be helpful when working with planetary and sephirotic spirits. Given that How to Become a Modern Magus doesn't merely explain how to invoke an elemental or a spirit, it teaches what being successful in doing so actually is, negative and positive. How to Become a Modern Magus stresses that each elemental force has virtues and vices, which are all part of your being. It's just that you've been suppressing the latter due to external and internal conditioning, and the key isn't to deny anything, but to make the most out of what you have, so it serves your greater good. Having practical means, such a process also helps acknowledge your disbalances and deficiencies, so you can work toward improving them and becoming whole and balanced. And as I like to say, becoming whole and reaching higher levels of being cannot be accomplished by radically denying, but by gently and gradually unifying the parts of ourselves. Personality and emotional deficits. Something reiterated in the book is that the so-called occult student is usually somehow emotionally deficient. Shared by other scholars, this perspective was popularized by Israel Rigardi, such as his student Dr. Christopher Hart, who became the reason I started researching people like Don Webb. In its elemental sections, How to Become a Modern Magus gives basic correspondences. While most of them match what you already know, some vastly differ. Fire and water. Usually water is associated with the womb, the waters of Binah and the Great Mother from which everything emerges. Water is the element with most nurturing faculties, which is all motherly. Also with Jupiter Hesed and pay attention, emotions. On the other hand, fire is associated with determination and discipline, which many people due to misinformation attempt to sustain via willpower. Fire is also associated with the water, which in my humble opinion may be debatable. Willpower. Quote, "So this Golden Dawn idea of will, what do we know about it? The commonly held idea is that strong folks have willpower and weak folks do not. The will is like a muscle, right? Just work it. Nope. However, modern psychological research gives a new model. This is called the ego depletion model. Willpower is a form of water and you can run out of it in a day." Unquote. Comment. Also called the resource, the muscle model was invented by Roy Baumeister in the 1990s. After conducting the famous chocolate or cookies and radishes experiment, Baumeister and colleagues concluded that willpower is vastly limited. They saw it as a resource or pool of energy becoming depleted or spent as you use it, also as a muscle that gets fatigued after exercise. This includes making decisions such as controlling basic urges, planning, analyzing, etc. Water and willpower. How to Become a Modern Magus notes that water endures, which in my humble opinion doesn't match willpower, and though some gurus adore speculating you can strengthen it with exercise, modern quantifiable science shows that has enormous limitations as well. Understanding that, Webb offers to structure your day so you can prevent ego depletion. Like regarding Dr. Hat, Webb emphasizes that modern discoveries and devices should be incorporated by the contemporary practitioner. Speaking of that, more recent research denies the notion that willpower is like a muscle or resource. Michael Inslick, a professor of psychology at the University of Toronto, explains that willpower has been vastly misunderstood for the past decades, and since there isn't an actual resource or substance to be spent, Inslick explains that willpower isn't a pool or supply. After conducting a meta-analysis of numerous studies, Inslick likens willpower to an actual emotion having its ebbs and flows, and while Webb doesn't mention it, that resembles water having ebbs and flows. Though not seeing it as a resource getting spent, Inslick explains that what some people define as ego depletion is in fact very consistent with the notion of fatigue, particularly mental fatigue. On the contrary, the philosophical concept of water, or quintessence of water, heikoma or hakoma, is infinite. Willpower isn't. Scientifically, the basic urges correspond to the reptilian brain, whereas willpower comes from the prefrontal cortex, and under stress, the water can completely shut down, so not much endurance for willpower. Air and money. How to Become a Modern Magus attributes money to air, which to me makes sense. Considering the instant effects, I'll likely never forget the first times I did elemental SRPs without closing them. About 3 years ago, for air, that coincidentally included finding a small amount of money right next to where I live. Money, the author explains, is volatile. It is not to be mistaken with wealth, which attributes to earth. Quote, "The value of money is controlled by governmental and financial interests and is an intellectual commodity ruled by others. It exists in the air domain." Unquote. Reflection. Air governs learning and boosting your intellect and skills, which can be precursors to success, which is a precursor to money. Plus, in my humble opinion, Jupiter, the ultimate symbol of money and wealth, works very well with air. For instance, sending Paralda before Iophiel for different aspects of the same goal, or working with the airy parts of Jupiter. Let me know if you agree. But that is just my opinion. I suggest working with the Elemental Kings via SRP to determine what corresponds to what if you use Golden Dawn and or Telima. And to learn SRP, I offer my video, such as getting the cheat sheet I made. Links will be in the description. The Golden Dawn. While noting the flaws in the Golden Dawn system, Don Webb recognizes its enormous contribution to putting the wisdom of the Greek and Kabbalistic philosophers into practical action. The author explains that the Golden Dawn really shines because of connecting 4 ideas very well. Quote, "Magical knowledge immortalizes the self. Gaining power brings forth magical abilities of creativity and stamina. Evolution is aided in magic, and secrecy of practice is a holder of practice as a wineskin for a wine." Unquote. Golden Dawn system, the author explains, has some drawbacks. Quote, "It does not personalize experience. You get one-size-fits-all path. It rigidly connects all the dots. You're taught exactly how Kabbalah fits into the Tarot, into the Tatric Tattva system, into geomancy, into Egyptian myth, and so on and so forth." Unquote. Comment. Despite wanting to ensure that the Order's teachings would remain after his death, Israel Rigardi shared a similar perspective. And the place where that's evident is in the 1-year manual book, a thorough examination of which you can watch on this channel. The Role of Your Mother. Whether you like it or not, How to Become a Modern Magus recognizes your mom as the most significant influence on your life, and based on my research, this perspective is shared by Mark Stavish, the author of the best-selling egregores. According to Stavish, paraphrasing, your mom is your first and ultimate guru. Scholars, gurus, angels, spirits, secret chiefs, and even God, none of them is before your mom. The same section in the book hints that whether that was intentional, your mom also influenced your interest in the occult, and I think she really did. Synthesis and distillation. Encouraging you to be proactive and stimulating your mind, Webb warns that the covered material won't make sense. You must figure that on your own, developing a synthesis. Being a true scholar, the author explains that while vital, this synthesis will be different for each and every seeker, and the reason is that the extracting process is based on more than passively meditating on the material. How to Become a Modern Magus actively incorporates the results of your work and unique real-life events from the past and present. As in the Essential Guide, magic and your life should be treated as one. Quite reasonable, based on my research, this at least partially resembles an actual Setian initiation. Unlike traditional ones, the Setian initiation is unique to the individual, not following a cookie-cutter approach. The author adds that the book will form an invisible college and help like-minded individuals find each other, which I don't think will be difficult with our technology. Final words. Flooded with information, the contemporary practitioner really doesn't need another book with promises for enlightenment, correspondences, and the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. I think they need to integrate actual self-improvement while using the latest research and devices and learning how to distill and synthesize. Addressing that need, How to Become a Modern Magus is a masterpiece with the potential of coming into being as a modern occult classic. Providing much more than schooling you on a single method, it teaches you how to become what Dr. Christopher Hart defined as a gourmet of techniques. And though not the most optimal if you're just starting now, I think it is essential to anyone with a year of practical work experience in this day and age. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what is yours, such as which parts of the book you enjoyed the most. Otherwise, like this video if it provides value, subscribe for more content like this, check my other works and books, especially the PDFs I made on the fields of operation and SRP, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for your time.